As they say, it's the morning after the night before. Well, I'm sorry about last night going live with Bill Turner, and Melissa came on quite well, but Bill had a problem with his computer. It wasn't it's an Apple, and it wasn't compatible to StreamYard. So next Monday night, or sorry, next Tuesday night, we're the 13th, I think, 13th. We'll be going live at the same time, and this time you get to ask the questions you want to build. I've put together, we've done a live, or sorry, recorded a bit of a program last night. Bill's having a few problems with his computer. The quality of the background's not great, but because he changed a few programs, and he hopes to have them all fixed by next week. Now, the Common Law Court, people who asked a few questions last night, I'm just going to show you a document, which is the orders of the court. The jury made an order. They found the man guilty, and they put a penalty in place after some deliberation. So I'm going to show you that document straight after this, and then we'll go cross over to Bill's recording from last night. Anyway, just bear with us. We are amateurs. Nobody's getting paid for this, and we're doing our best. Any technical difficulties, well, just blame the system or the computer. Anyway, London News sign off. Thanks for watching. Catch you all guys soon. Keep subscribing, and if you want to make a donation to the International Common Law Court Foundation, please do so, because we're going to be looking for jury members. A lot of cases coming up in the next few months. We're going after some of the big corrupt criminals, and we need a good crowd of people to turn up to pick a jury from a ballot box. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. As they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Well, let's look at the results of the International Common Law Court jury on the 28th of March in relation to Fines Victoria and the CEO. So if you look here, the paperwork, where it took place, Mary Warren, on the date, and the court orders. Let's just look at that. In the matter of, Ban plaintiff, Craig Howard, CEO Fines Victoria, the defendant. Just go through it there. You can read yourselves. I'll leave it up as long as possible. I was the one who brought the charges on behalf of myself and the people. The documents were presented to the court in relation to my claim. And the defendant was found guilty of committing fraud against the people and the plaintiff in Victoria. The order was unanimous decision. And he was fined $23,630, which was very fair in a sense, because it took him quite a while to come up with that figure. But 12 people got together, and they had some agreed, some didn't, and in the end they settled on that figure, and that's what's in the court order now. We've paid into the foundation, so nobody's going to benefit from it. And this has to be paid by the 1st of May 2021. And then we go to the next part of it. Failure to comply. You can actually be charged again for failure to comply with a jury of your peers. Laws of nations. Now, this was signed by the sheriff of the day at the time. He was appointed and took an oath of office, and the court secretary signed it as well. So this paperwork I delivered to Craig Howard Fines Victoria at his office on the 22nd floor of in Collins Street. What day was this on? Break for a second. What day? This paperwork was delivered to the defendant last week. There.
Policing by consent.
Yep, got that marked for you, Bill, with the mouse.
Okay, now, what I have tried to get through to people, everything is contract and it must be done by consent. If it's not done by consent, it is not lawful. So you don't need to do anything else except show them this and say, it says on your website that you police by consent. Is that correct? Now, any contractual agreements from there on, they must have consent.
Okay. Do you want to get out of this page?
Yep.
Okay, go back to normal, yeah?
Yep. Okay. Now, some kind gentleman, oh, well, I think it might have been a gentleman, it might have been a gentle lady.
So this might help some of you guys out there. The Seneca v. Act 1666, Chapter 11, 18, 19, Chapter 2, 4, and Seneca v. Act 1707, Chapter 72, 6, and if a supposed dead man proved to be alive, then the title is revested. As evidence with an affidavit, evidence of the living flesh and blood human being. 2. Wills Act 1837, Section 3, whereupon all property may be disposed of by will as evidence in a vesting deed. 3. Law of Property Act 1925, Section 52, conveyances to be by deed. Section 159, execution of powers not testamentary. Section 187, legal easements. 4. Trust of land and appointment of trustees Act 1996, Section 12. 12. The right to occupy. Section 14. Applications for orders. Trustee Act 1925, Section 44. Vesting orders of land. Number 6. Government Annuities Act 1929, Section 10. Mode of payment of life annuities. Section 15. Unclaimed annuities. Section 20. Validity of payments to executors and administrators. 7. Trusts, Capital and Income Act 2013, Section 3, Power to compensate income beneficiary. 8. Apportionment Act 1870, Section 4, person shall have the same remedies for recovering apportioned parts as for entire portions. 9. Pensions Act. 10. Administration of Estates Act 1925, Section 28, liability of person fraudulently obtaining or retaining estate of deceased. 11. House Joint Resolution 192 of June 5th, 1933. Then directions to file a court order to the High Court to have your trust revested, quoting these statutes along with a vesting deed, and you may have some luck. The High Court orders the commissioners in the Treasury to perform.
Now, behind her, when she's doing the YouTube video, is a library of books. Every one of the books is the laws of New Zealand. Now, I've spoken with you about this before, Melissa, of how important the laws are. Statute are the rules of a private company. When they put those statutes out and the police arrest people or the Inland Revenue arrest people for an infringement of the company policy, then the judge must uphold the rule of law or make a decision if those statutes are infringing our civil liberties. And so once they've made that decision, they become the laws of New Zealand, and any judge must uphold the rule of law. They become the rule of law, and them and the maxims and the Bible, the judge must uphold them. The statutes are only there to trick the unwitting, which is why I gave you the police website, which shows that the everything is done by consent. Everything is done by consent. Once you consent, a contract is formed. Once a contract is formed, a trust is formed. Okay, so that, to me, the judges must uphold the rule of law. So if you put that in front of a judge, they must uphold it.
You said it's all an act, and sadly, the courts. I don't know. I lived in New Zealand a good while ago, but I'm sure things have changed over there. But here, the courts yeah, I mean, Brian Shaw and Jerry and them, they've had a lot of success. In fact, Jim, I forget Jim's second name, he arrested the Supreme Court judge last Thursday, I think, and the judge really got really humpy over that and walked off the bench, and they went across to the magistrate court and they charged him. Now it'll go back into that private system again. So but at least they had a success when he walked off the bench. He obviously got pretty angry about being arrested in public. Well, it was a public court, which really I don't think they even own the land it's on, do they? They probably rented it, but that's another story. But people are people are waking up to the fact, and as you know here, we had our first common law court. We had a few dry runs, but this was a good one. So the jury actually spent nearly 3/4 of an hour finding the CEO of Fines Victoria, which is a private company, and it's in dispute, the ownership, because the ABN number comes up to a motorcycle company, which a guy down the country registered. Serco forgot to register it. So that's the start. But we have to fight back. And then look, Bill and I, we go back a long way, and way back I learned a lot from you, and a lot of people are still learning from you, and really it's fantastic. So we have to fight in both systems at the moment, because they rule the roost, and they've been doing that for a long, long time. Melissa, have you got anything to add? You look so nice there, and you're so quiet.
No, I would like to add something. So further to what you were saying before, Bill, in Australia, I think, I don't know, maybe around 2010 or maybe after that, there was a SARCs committee set up, so that Scrutiny of Acts and Regulations Committee. So their job is to look at any new acts that are introduced and to see if it's in breach of, for example, human rights or the Privacy Act. So we do have something similar here in Australia. Yes, but unfortunately they didn't review acts and regulations from the past. It's just what is now introduced, pretty much.
Well, do you realise that you've still got student access, haven't you?
Student access.
If you do, access to the legislation and that. If you do, LexisNexis is where you'll find the laws of Australia.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's the laws the laws of Australia, the laws of New Zealand, and oh God, I've forgotten his name now. The laws of England, but those laws cannot be overruled. The judge must rule, and as long as you quote those laws, the judge has to follow them. It's the rule of law.
Mm.
And you'll hear Trump say that all the time. But Barry, you're quite right. While we're in this transition, and I can see them running scared here, America, all over the place, we have got to keep pushing them to the limit. Their system is breaking down. And if we do nothing, they will continue to do what they're doing. But, I mean, over here, they're running scared.
And here, well, this is the document, I don't know, you'll be able to see it, the chief health officers. And I'll just read you a line at the top, the preamble. The purpose of these directions, the purpose is an adverb, and you're a teacher up there, she might be. Purpose is an adjective. So that's the color off or an assumption. And then it works out as directions, the means no contract. So the whole thing goes off into, it's just gobbledygook, serious public health risk. Well, I mean, it's a serious public health risk is, again, they're all adjectives, they're all the color off. So the whole document, it starts off with a pronoun, like you are requested. So the whole thing is gobbledygook. It's written by a 5-year-old child, but when you receive that, it frightens the living life out of you if you don't understand it. And of course, everything they send out is in boxes. There's no. It's just the whole system is really, really bad. Bill, you've been fighting for years, and you've been successful. So I just want everybody to fight on the stage, if you like, and in common law to get back one day at a time. And if everybody could get together instead of bitching about each other and fight, get on. Look, it's a highway. All roads lead to Rome. Well, let's all our highways head to the Parliament houses where the crooks are all hiding. They're going to put all the good people in jail later on. Just to protect them from the bad ones, which are out running around in government and stuff at the moment. Anybody got a comment on that?
look, there's a lot of people doing a lot of good over in Australia. They all come from different angles. All I do is study the law.
Mm.
Other people study language. Other people go down different paths. Good on them. I was talking to a lady today, and she was going through my channel, and she said, "You've got 2 channels here," but she said, there's hundreds of other people who've got your videos on their channels. And I said, "That's what I like." She said, "Can I monetize your channel?" And I said, "No, I don't charge." I said, "Look, the more people, all I want to do is wake people up to the fact that we've had the wool pulled over our eyes. And if anyone can add to it with language, with whatever, good on them. And I won't disparage anyone. They're all doing a great job."
Yeah, it's good. Look, we need to all get on. As I said, we're all on the same highway on different sides of the thing. Cross over the fence. Stop no more egos. I've got no bones with the system. I've never been in problem with the system. I worked in the system, but we have to do something, Bill, because this has gone ridiculous. Now, I was over in China for some time in the 2004, and I went on the train with some friends from Shenyang to Shanghai, which is about, I think it's overnight, maybe a day, maybe 2 days. It's long, but every time these people go from one area in China, they have to produce a passport, and that's like your ID. They get it when they're in high school, and it stays with them for the rest of their life, and the photograph. So we'll do the same thing here with people. You won't be able to go shopping. You won't be able to do nothing unless you're vaccinated. I mean, unless you and I, which we're doing, make a stand and get these mask-wearing fools, which are still wearing masks in Australia, which you don't have to, together. And it's really hard, because it's got to stop now. And if Trump doesn't come back this month, well, we're on our own, but we're going to have to fight as individuals and together.
I have heard that there is supposed to be a big announcement coming up, but I've stopped giving predictions, because these people are fighting back. It's for their lives. They're fighting for their lives, Barry. And they're evil people. But I won't say they're not like you and I, the people that are controlling the puppets at the top. The worst thing that annoys me, is being half Italian, is that the Phoenicians, who are the Khazarians, who went over and started Venice and became Venetians, and then took Italian names, the ratbags. But you wouldn't have heard of half of the families. There's 13 families, and you wouldn't have heard of the names. And they are still controlling commerce to this day, because they built an island which they called a ship, and so they introduced maritime law. Okay, and so the Phoenicians became the Venetians, not the blinds that you pull up and down in your window, but the
ugly.
The ratbags took Italian names, and they look. I mean, on our courts, you'll see the 3 Phoenician ships.
I think we've got the biggest insult to the Queen. We have the kangaroo hole in the crown. He's almost dangling it in the courts. I mean, they're having a laugh. But Bill Gilroy in Dublin, he really, something I hadn't thought about. He says the other day, he said, we don't need a constitution. We have one. It's great, and we should abide by it. But that was written by men some time ago. But before that, we had God-given rights, inalienable rights, and that's what we should be going back to. Everybody, you can't mention God anymore, because if you start praying to God, the government or the corporations don't like that, because they want to be your God. They're going to protect you. They're going to stop you getting this virus. They don't give a flying poo-poo that your immune system does all the work. We're going to make some money out of you before they bury you. Well, not this little black duck. Melissa, have you got any statements on what's happening in Australia? Everything is back to pretty much normal in your neck of the wood, is it? Which is up.
Oh no, I think everything's quiet because Dan had a bit of a fall, but
he fell down the stairs in a bungalow.
Yes, was drunk. and
And the
tripped
people
over.
watching, yeah, the people watching overseas, Daniel was the governor of the state, or the premier, we call him here. He fell down he slipped on the steps, and there was I think he fell down the stairs or something on a bungalow, it's one story, no stories. But anyway, it's a long story. We haven't seen him for a long time, and the lockdown finished as soon as he had his trip. And anyway, and we're all very upset about it. We're all wishing him the best. So he rushes back again and tries another lockdown, but it'll never work again here, because I think the people have had enough of him and it. And Bill is looking very, very quiet down there. He's not saying a word. Bill, what do you?
No, I'm thinking that if you want to have a trip, just take an LSD tab, But
Yeah, but it becomes addictive. Then you might need a passport to come home again.
Look, if you there are certain websites that actually give the names of who's been arrested, and a lot of them have already been had military tribunals. A lot of them are no longer with us, and so your tripping guy would be on the list, the same as our tooth fairy.
Yeah, but people still believe in the tooth fairy, they really do.
I've just put a couple of questions in the chat from some people that were either on the live YouTube or that have emailed questions to me. So one of them, I guess, would be for Barry there, in regards the common law courts. So has the common law courts enforced their judgments against the CEO of Fines Victoria?
Right. Well, I think basically, when common law goes back to records were kept from 1066 after the Battle of Hastings. William the Conqueror came in, and he brought the Jewish people that were brilliant at banking, and probably still are, and bookkeeping. So they kept records from the common law courts. It started off in little villages. The term sheriff comes from way back before that, when he was called the sharif, right? The sheriff, not the sheriff, the reef. The reef. He was the head of the village, the reef, and they were in a shire. So they put the two words, he became the shire reef, or the sheriff. That's what it goes back that far. And then, of course, the maritime law take over later on, and with the inns in London and the courts and how it all spread up, and it all goes back to the guild. There's a whole word, but they become. It's like medicine in the USA. It was on a par with natural and herbal medicine and drugs, till Rockefeller and Morgan and these Carnegie, these guys came and they put millions of dollars, well, thousands of dollars in those days, probably a couple of $100,000, built up medical schools and owned the magazine and the drug company. And anybody who was practicing natural medicine before that was a quack. And they had that's where the word quackery comes from. They had a very famous doctor or something. He really created that word, and it went down. And the same thing with law. It's all.
Barry, so you said earlier that there was a judgment against the CEO of Fines Victoria.
Yeah.
So that was in the common law courts here in Australia. So has that judgment been enforced? And if it hasn't been enforced yet, what sort of steps are being taken towards that?
Okay, it's the International Common Law Court, which is part of the UK. Yeah, the jury found them guilty. They then deliberated and came up with a fine. Now, that paperwork was served on him personally yesterday by the sheriff, which I am a sheriff.
Oh, yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, yes. So if he ignores that money thing, then we'll take the process. Then will be letter of demand, final letter of demand, and then we'll take liens on the property to get that money back. What's happening in the UK with the International Common Law Court is they have peace officers called constables, peace constables, and they have clamped a number of vehicles, and a lot of CEOs and magistrates have actually stood down, because these guys have got 4 years up their sleeve now, and a lot of experience. And this year things have been very bad in the UK because of the lockdowns they're fighting. They've got some families that have been, kids were taken off their family. The common law court forced the maritime law courts to give back the children, and they've actually issued birth certificates from the people that didn't register the kids, and they've been the common law court. The common law court is the people. It's not a bunch of people who went to school and learned a load of rubbish to make your life a misery. This is the people. It's not me. If I go in tomorrow, there'll be somebody else take my place, and on your place if you're in it as well. So it's the people. So the people of Victoria brought that charge, not me, against
And
Fines
I guess
Victoria.
if it's just been given yesterday, then it will take some time. You wait for the
Oh,
response.
well, we're giving them the 1st of May. If he doesn't pay by the 1st of May, then we'll take action. But then you can actually be charged criminally for failing to comply with a jury of your peers in relation to that. So you could face another.
But you'll go
charge.
through the demand process for that.
Yeah, the normal demand process.
All right. So even that can take, a few months to go through the
Oh,
demand
yeah.
process, and then.
Look, the duty of the sheriff is not to go and arrest people, which you do have. You see, this we don't need an act to arrest someone. Like here is Section 4.5 of the Crimes Act. Anybody finds committing may arrest a police officer under the same act and charge them if he suspects. Under common law, you have the right to arrest anybody. It goes back to the days of posse. Stop thief, and people chased after and grab the thief. We have original God-given rights to arrest somebody who's done damage to us or committed a crime in front of us or something like that. Look, it's one day at a time. We're making a fight back. Bill's been fighting back in the fictional system so long now. He's wearing a skull and bones on his head. I think he's joined the pirates. Hi, Bill. Wakey.
All right. I've got a question for Bill. And in regard to the PPSR, so the question is, what steps do we need to take after secured party creditor?
I've put in the chat there.
Okay, do you want to explain that so people? So you've written.
Hold on. I'll just put this is not to be punishable except under New Zealand Acts. No one shall be convicted of any offence at common law. This is our Crimes Act, Section 9. You will have the same thing. Now, but at the end there, it tells you the jurisdiction, authority, or power of a court to punish for contempt is subject to the contempt of court. There's only one crime punishable under their acts, and that's contempt of court.
Yes. Plus,
Okay.
if you hear somebody's been arrested for common law assault, common law assault, that's the only power the police have, lawfully speaking, is under common law. They have under the acts. They're actually breaking the acts. They're actually breaking the law by engaging in especially as a private company they are.
Yep. Now, I actually explained this earlier on, Melissa. What steps do we need to take after the secured party creditor? Once you're the secured party creditor, they cannot attack your trust because you have the higher title. The only reason, and Barry alluded to it before, was possession is 9/10 the law. What is the other 10th? And that is title. So if you've secured the title, and I'm sure I explained this to you at the seminar, if you found a surfboard floating on the high seas and there was no one around, you can take it unless it's got a title on it to say, hey, this belongs to Barry or Melissa, phone, blah, blah, blah. If it doesn't have that, then you have salvage rights. So what they do, which is why, if you're looking.
Pirate.
Bill the pirates.
That is what they are. They're pirates, okay? So if you haven't secured your title, they're pirates. They come in and they plunder. And if you go back to the movies, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, they were commissioned officers. They get a commission for every dollar they take off you. They get a commission. So you don't have to do anything once you're the secured party. They just cannot attack you. Now, like I said, last year, they said my one was frivolous. And all of a sudden, I'm now getting fines. The cops used to come up behind me, put my number in the, it comes up automatically now. Nothing they can do. Oh, shit. He's secured party. Leave him alone. Drive off. Now I'm starting to get tickets again. Not that I drive fast or anything like that. For heaven's sake.
I heard you were a bit of a hoon, Bill.
Looking at that car behind you, I think you like the lead.
Bill, there was, now this, I'm going to ask you this question publicly now, Bill. There's a chappie up in Queensland wants to pay for you to come to Queensland for a seminar. Can you publicly say yes or no now? Sorry, Bill.
Well, okay, I can publicly say now until I become the secured party again. If I try to leave the country, they'll arrest me for unpaid fines.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So previously there was no problem until they kicked me off the PPSR. Okay, but now with I've got to find a way around it because a lot of things I'm doing. But look, Barry, I know that it's going to change very soon. Within the next 6 months, it's going to be a very, very different world. And it's because of the likes of what you and Melissa and myself and others are doing. And hey, look, whatever they're doing, it's all good. Melissa was saying some of the others have gone off a different way. Good on them. Don't take anything for granted. Go and listen to different things. Try different things. If everyone followed the same path, and I know that everything I do, they monitor and they change the rules all the time. They're smart, these people.
Yeah.
They sneak in with the humans.
Yeah, they have a powwow after each case that if something new comes up, they adjourn to have a chat about it, and then they come back with they don't make a decision on their own. They have a powwow after courts and at lunchtime, and then they change the goalposts.
They do. They look. In one instance, they totally changed the Judicature Act because of a stunt I pulled.
Well, sorry to the people out there that were live, but we're going to go live again. But next time we're going to practice the day before. So when Bill will have everything set up, his Apple, obviously someone took a chunk out of it tonight and it didn't like it anyway. So anyway, Bill, thanks for coming on, and thanks, Melissa. So I'd like to say goodbye to everybody, and perhaps we'll see them next week live. How about that?
Thank you, Barry and Melissa.
Yeah, thank you both. It's been a great little experiment.
Okay, well, we're on our way. We'll have a chat offline.